An official ruling on what we call the British flag at any given time, whether on land or sea, has been given to this programme. It's been provided by the Flag Institute, the organisation which keeps a register of national and regional flags in the UK. As Jane Peel explains, choosing between the Union Jack and the Union flag has been somewhat problematic.
According to the Flag Institute, which has carried out legal and historical research, there's never been a definitive pronouncement on the correct title. The Institute's experts say that in the absence of any specific designation of a name, both Union Flag and Union Jack may validly be used. The news may come as a shock to those who are convinced that it's a Union Jack only if it's flown by the Royal Navy. But the general public, who almost universally refer to it as the Union Jack, can carry on doing so in the knowledge that they've been right all along.
Jane Peel reporting.
Neil Sleet reading the news, and the Chief Vexillologist of the Flag Institute is sitting in the corridor behind me. All ears for your own opinion listening to this, because what on earth does the Radio 4 listener think about the Union Jack is a question on our minds this morning. We'll answer that live with your help before 9:30. So far, most of our inbox is about my next item. It's time to end dispute over the Union Jack, according to experts who register the flags of the UK. You're now at the last night of the proms at the Royal Albert Hall. There among the banners and streamers is the famous UK flag. And is that someone you know waving it? But what do you call it? The Union Jack or the Union Flag? By convention, we're told the Jack flies on board ship with rules on where and on which type of vessel. The Union Flag is found on land, flown, waved, draped or worn, depending on taste. You can even put it on a plastic stick made in China. The two names, Flag and Jack, have long been conflated, causing argument and letters to Radio 4. But the Flag Institute, which advises both the government and the United Nations, hopes to end the debate this morning with our help. They've got new findings they're showing to you and me first this morning. The Chief Vexillologist is Graham Bartram. Welcome.
Good morning, Paddy.
Did you find that very stirring?
It was, yes.
So the argument has been the Jack flies on a specific ship, on a specific place, and the flag flies on land.
Well, that's what some people say, but in fact the two terms have been used throughout history completely interchangeably. There are royal proclamations that say Union Jack, there are royal proclamations that say Union Flag, and sometimes when they say Union Jack, they're referring to land, and sometimes when they say Union Flag, they're referring to sea. So I think it's up to you to decide what you want to do.
Give me a quote from history in your new document that proves that the Jack and the flag were interchangeable terms hundreds of years ago.
Okay. Well, in fact, neither term was used when the flag was first created. They weren't really referred to as either way until the 1630s, and the flag was in 1606. But, well, here we are. Whereas I am informed that the masters of several merchant ships have presumed to wear the King's Jack without leave, I require you to examine and inquire what merchant ships either do, have, or lately wore the King's Jack.
Well, that proves it was Jack. You haven't proved that it's Jack or Flag with that quote.
The same king, this is James II, said, I desire you will give notice unto all commanders and masters of shipping belonging to the subjects of the king, that henceforward they forbear to wear the flag of union.
So in the same document you have Jack and Flag.
Well, actually, they're two separate documents, but they're by the same king.
And what date?
1661 and
Right.
1666.
When did it become convention for vexillologists to prefer Jack and Flag as two distinct items or two distinct designs?
I think it's probably in Victorian times that they actually that certain vexillologists decided that it should be properly called one thing in one circumstance and properly called something else in another circumstance. But I think the Victorians were very keen on having rules about everything.
Well, so are some of our listeners, Graham. And
Well-
what are you doing to these rules?
Well, we're not doing anything to them. We're just saying these rules are made up.
By you?
No, that they've been made up by just people writing one thing in a book, and people then read it and say that that's the law, when in fact it's not the law.
Are you seeking to do what the Oxford English Dictionary did with literally, which was to say we could use it figuratively? You're backing the public. If they say jack, that's a jack or a flag.
We're backing the fact that the flag has no official name, and you can call it a flag or you can call it a jack, and which one you use is entirely up to you, just as somebody might call you Paddy or somebody might call you Patrick. Neither one is being nasty to you or being wrong. Or
But I mean, just on the serious issue of what we should, if you're a source on this, from now, you're going to publish a new document based
Yes.
on some historical findings, and you're going to say, end this debate forever.
Yes, basically, this is a question that comes up a lot, as you mentioned, and our Chief Executive, Charles Ashburner, has actually asked our legal advisor to go back and look at the historical context for this and produce a paper. And David Lister did that, and very sadly, he actually passed away before it was published. But we're now going to be publishing that in the next month or so.
And you've given it first sight to us. Will you come back and take some questions from listeners?
My pleasure.
If you're listening and you want to, wave a flag at Graham, please do. A quick, unrehearsed question from me, Graham. Name the US state that has a Union pattern on its state flag.
Hawaii.
Correct. Well done. That wasn't rehearsed. It's 27 minutes past 9. Much to talk about to do with the Union Jack, Union Flag. John Stanning takes issue from Winchester. Whether it's the Union Flag or the Union Jack, it's not the British flag, as your reporter called it. There is no British flag. Now, the document that has been produced by the Flag Institute, John Stanning, says since its creation, the pattern of the Union Flag has had many names, including the Briton, the British flag. John Stanning, look. You're in trouble with Graham Bartram, who's here before 10 to sort out emails from around the land. Come with us. Thank you very much indeed. Now, we've been somewhat snowed under on the question of the Union Jack and the Union Flag. The Chief Vexillologist of the Flag Institute has released new findings to us for your consideration first this morning. The document will come out in a month. Graham, what have you read from the volume, first of all, of correspondence from our listeners?
Well, one person said that my example of flag of union wasn't a very good example for Union Flag, and asked if there was a better one. And there is indeed. In Charles I, in 1634, issued a proclamation which reads, "None of our subjects of any of our nations and kingdoms shall from henceforth presume to carry the Union Flag in their main top or part of any of their ships."
Yes, but that's not my point, Graham, that we've been snowed under with people on the question of the Jack and the flag.
And some people are still saying it's only right to call it a jack when it's on a ship, and some people are saying, I've been trying to get them to stop being worried about this for ages. So
here's
both.
here's Jan Stafford drilling down into what you're saying. If Scotland votes for independence, will the St Andrews part of the flag be removed?
No.
Pardon?
No, because the flag was created in 1606, 100 years before the Union of Parliaments. The flag represents the Union of the Crowns.
So would it be appropriate then to insert a Welsh motif, perhaps a dragon?
Well, I think the Union flag as it exists today will probably carry on, but then whether England, Wales, Northern Ireland want to carry on using that as their national flag, I think is a separate question.
Here's William Langworthy. The Union flag is made up of 3 country flags. The Union Jack is flown on the bowsprit of a warship, has a white border. Hence we have 2 different flags because of the border.
The white bordered version is the civil jack and is the one that's worn by merchant ships. And it has a white border because the proclamations say that they can't fly the Union flag or jack on a ship. So they fly one with a white border, which allows them to get away with it.
Melvin Tisdale, we need to know the difference between the Union flag and the Jack because it's useful to know how knowledgeable someone is to get an idea of whether they know what they're talking about.
Well, he says we should retain the difference, but there isn't a difference to start with to retain. They're both names for the same object. So, and they're used interchangeably. So how can you retain a difference that doesn't exist in the first place?
Chris Portwine, what is a jackstaff?
Nowadays it's the small staff at the very front of a warship. If you look at the pointy end, you'll see a small staff that actually carries the jack.
If there's more on this, will you return?
I will indeed, if people are still interested in it.
Well, who can say? It's approaching the Archers. Thank you very much indeed, Graham Bartram.